speech titled Observation on Observation. Esoteric meditation text talked about becoming an observer. Scott will show how his observer helped him have a happy weekend. Scott da
Grossier.
Close. And you put it in there so I could pronounce it. I'm sorry. Is an IT consultant and owner of themeditationmind.com. He enjoys ice hockey, yoga, personal development, and football, except when the Patriots lose to the Jets. Bring on, Scott. Thank you.
Observation. Very glamorous word, isn't it? Gives you a very visceral reaction when you hear it. You really want to hear about observations on Scott's observations. It doesn't seem like it, but as someone who's very heavily invested into personal development, I feel that if you can learn how to observe yourself, it can be one of the most critical and most valuable way to catapult your personal growth and spiritual development. And I know this because I have read an inordinate amount of personal development books. And I read a lot of them, because I was excited about meditation. I tried it a few times, and I really liked it. And so when I read these books, I read all about observing the observer, or analyze what you're feeling and thinking, and it really didn't make a lot of sense to me. I just knew I liked meditation. I didn't understand how this observing, I want to be out living, I don't want to be out observing. Where does that even come from? So I didn't really follow it. And now, after many years, I have some glimmers of progress, and if I can share them with you today, maybe they can help you, or maybe not, but I'm going to take a shot here and show you how I've translated that to give me some benefit. And it happened, actually, this past Saturday. Fortunately, I hadn't written my speech yet, which turned out quite nicely, because it gave me a great topic. My wife had gotten a pretty bad car accident, not bad with injuries, but damage to our truck. We got the whole rear end taken off, and it was all messed up. And we finally got it back from the body shop on Saturday. Brand new rear end. Who doesn't like a new rear end? Nice chrome. And many aspects of life. And she brings it home. So it had been in our possession for about 2-3 minutes when I went out to go pick up a friend at the airport. I live on Elk Geld in Sheffield. I drove 3/4 of a mile, took a left into Ashland. Bam! I get hit. So we'd had the car about 3 minutes, and we had an accident again. So when that happens, a lot of things go through your mind. Oh man, another deductible, our rates are going to go up, and then this whole negative churn of thinking of financial distress, and then anger. Who's this idiot that just banged me when I turned the corner? Obviously he doesn't know what he's doing, even though for all I know it was my fault. And all these other things come rushing in. And so they came rushing in, and I sat there, and as an observer, not necessarily fully conscious of this, but at the time I just kind of thought, man, that's pretty funny that I got in an accident 3 minutes after we got the car back. And so when I went out to meet him, I just kind of thought it was kind of funny, and he wasn't all bent out of shape, and I called my wife laughing. She didn't share the observation that it was at all. But, we're all different. And then, because it was Saturday at noon, and I had all these big fun things planned for Saturday and Sunday. And what I found and learned from others, that when something happens, and then you perceive it somehow. You see it, or you feel it, you think it, something happens. And then from that occurrence, you have thoughts about them. And they may be things that man, I really like the taste of this macaroni and cheese because you've decided, or I really like this Thanksgiving stuffing. With Thanksgiving stuffing, everyone thinks theirs is the best. My grandmother's stuffing is the best. I go have it at my wife's or at some other in-laws or something. No, it's not. My grandmother's is the best. I don't know what you're talking about. But what it is when you have that experience, then your thoughts come in, and some of the thoughts relate to in the stuffing example. It's thoughts that you have about your grandmother, about the home life, or some other things, thoughts that are creating those emotions, which are then causing you to have the experience of enjoying the stuffing. So with the car accident, I shared it with a few friends. I was out watching the football games that day, and then I was at a 40th birthday party that night, and I said, yeah, I got a car accident 3 minutes after we got the car back. And the first person said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And they were trying to empathize, but they really just looked at me like, oh man, this is horrible. And then I told someone else, and they said, you guys have the worst luck. And I consider myself pretty lucky, and you know, and I don't actually, if I think about it, this person isn't necessarily the most lucky person I've come across. But I didn't, you know, rather than let their judgments turn it into me wallowing into a negative thing, I just kind of thought, well, you know, they're trying to be empathetic, or maybe they're nervous and filling in the space of my announcement of an accident. Maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut about it. You know, it's tough to say. But I found that process of when something happens to just take a couple breaths, or like just realize something just happened and I can choose how I want to react to it. Because I could have chosen when that accident happened, oh man, this is awful, it's Saturday, I had all these great plans and I got a car accident. And you know what? Big deal. I took the car was still drivable. I went back home and I went out and had a great weekend instead of letting the car accident turn into, oh, I had this awful weekend. We got hit by a car. Can you believe it? And instead I just said, well, I got in a car accident. Isn't that kind of funny? It happened in 3 minutes. And it's not like I walk around being a Gandhi all the time. When I got hit, I was ticked at first. And then I kind of got a grip on it and turned my weekend around. So I invite you to think about your observations about how you observe what you perceive, because you really have the ability to choose how you want to react to any situation, and obviously some are more difficult than others. And you have a subconscious tape running that's going to try to jam its way in and tell you what you should feel, but you do have the option to decide how you want to feel, how it's best going to serve you. So I hope you can learn from my accident and choose good thoughts. Thanks. I don't know the process yet on